Hi, I'm Katie Kempner, and welcome to Perspectives. We're here at TEDWomen, and today I'm so excited to be talking with Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I should have said documentary filmmaker and advocate for women and children and their families, and Second Lady of California. You have a lot on your plate.
Oh, I think we all do now, don't we? I think it's a very busy time.
Maybe not quite as much. Well, you do so many things. Can you talk a little bit about what you're focusing on now?
Sure. So after I made Misrepresentation, the documentary, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2011, we started misrepresentation.org, which was literally a social action organization to continue to encourage the empowerment of women and girls, not only in our media, but in the larger culture. And most recently, we rebranded the organization to speak more to boys and men. We realized that not only is there a boy crisis going on, but that boys and men needed to be a part of the solution. And so the new org is the Representation Project, and we've been launching that and kind of growing our mission to include more, just to be more inclusive and more partnership oriented. And I'm also writing, directing, and producing 2 new documentaries. One is called The Mask You Live In, and it explores the socialization of our boys towards extremes of masculinity in American culture, and also The Great American Lie, which looks at the social, political, and economic ramifications of a society, a dominator society, that values these extremes of masculinity. So it's been a really busy time, and we just had our 3rd child about 5 months ago, and so you know, we're in that juggle of life and work.
I'm exhausted listening to you.
I know, I'm too, sorry.
You're exhausted because you have a little baby at home. You gotta get some sleep. But can we talk about misrepresentation a little bit? What did you want people to take away from that film?
I wanted people to realize and recognize their power as consumers, as employees, and as citizens. There's power with the purse, right? If women are 86% of consumers, if we make 86% of consumption decisions when it comes to the household, we don't have to buy that product, we don't have to buy that program. We can celebrate that product, we can celebrate that program, but we have power here to run a product or a program out of business overnight. So that's one thing. On the employee side, I wanted women and men in business to recognize that the culture needs to change, and these are the steps that they can take to actually affect change. And we're starting to see that, which is really exciting. And then on the citizen side, you know, we all vote for our elected officials, our representatives, but you should ask of the people that are representing you, do they value women? Do they see women as equals? What are they doing for women? What about the pay gap? What about, you know, quotas, this and that? So the film was really a call to action, and that's really what I wanted it to be. And I think that one of the reasons the organization has continued to be successful is because we've continued the conversation beyond the film.
I mean, that's so amazing. I just want to ask you one final thing on this. I saw Erica Jong speak at the Miami Book Fair. It's the 40-year anniversary of her book, Fear of Flying, which at the time was such a feminist novel because it looked at women and how women felt in such a different way. I mean, here we are 40 years later. You're not talking about the exact same things that Erica Jong was talking about,
right,
but you're talking about that there has not been the progress you would think.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
Right. I mean, there's so many reasons. Let's just start with institutional bias, gender stereotypes, normalized gender roles. I mean, look, we've fed this really unhealthy narrative to women about our role in society, our role in the family, our responsibilities, our value. Similarly, we've sent a really unhealthy message that's limiting, and similarly, we've sent a really unhealthy narrative to boys and men about their value, their role in society. Leadership has always been a masculine domain. That's something that we're starting to question, and as we recognize that each of us obviously has both feminine and masculine traits. And I think the cultural and institutional biases that persist with the boys' club mentality and men not connecting the dots with the fact that they're creating a culture that's limiting and stymieing and really discouraging their daughters from realizing their potential. So I think that's going to change, and again, that's why we're making these films, to really awaken people's consciousness, encourage individual and community action, and then ultimately transform culture. You know, one thing, I'm in kind of the thick of having really young kids, and we talk about a lot, you know, it takes a village, and I have tremendous support. But, you know, for most of corporate America, I mean, there are many exceptions, but there aren't enough exceptions. It's really hard for women, especially with young kids, to continue on that career trajectory because we don't have the family leave and maternity leave policies that the Nordic countries, for example, have. Right. We still value or place a value system on men that encourages men to be the breadwinners and neglect the child care and the household management. Even though more and more men are staying home and more men are helping out in that arena, you know, it's nowhere near 50-50 in many households. Obviously there are exceptions to the rule,
right,
but it's not what it needs to be to ultimately have a real partnership, equitable society where men and women have equal representation at the tables of power.
Well, and you've touched on really what for me was why I wanted to do this passion project of mine in the first place, which is balance. Or actually, I find that a lot of women hate that word balance because it's like something they have to aspire to, and they can't. So you can call it whatever you want,
sure.
But the idea that, you know, you have 3 children and you have this incredibly demanding job and you have a husband that you know are very happy with, and he has a huge job too, so you probably aren't exactly the norm, but you understand very clearly what is for a lot of women. And what do you do to try in your own life to keep things as balanced as possible?
Right. Well, I try and surround myself with people that are empathic and have similar values. I have started working with a coach to try and help me compartmentalize to a certain extent and problem solve to a certain extent. And that's a luxury, but I've also, you know, I could be spending that money elsewhere, but I really needed this because I think this will help me in the long run and help my family and help my work in the long run. I definitely believe in some sort of meditation, yoga, physical activity. I'm not meditating right now. I don't have time. I don't even have enough time to read books except for stuff that's related to the films we're making. But you know, those are all practices that I think whatever can ground people and center people amidst the chaos. And, you know, it's chaotic. It is messy. But I think that's what, maybe that's what needs to be said. Maybe more of us women need to just say it's really messy. But I think the village concept is essential.
Yeah, and also you have to just remind yourself that they don't always stay this age. You know, whatever age I find my kids were in, and now they're teenagers, it's like, oh no, this is never, you know, my son's never going to be potty trained. I don't know what I'm going to do. And,
exactly.
And it just, you get, you know, each thing.
And then when you are really busy and you have lots of kids, I mean, oftentimes more people throw things your way because there is that adage, right? That old saying that if you want to get something done, give it to a busy woman.
Person, right.
A busy person.
I thought it was a busy person.
I know, I was going to say a busy mother. But no. But I think you do have to leverage, and it's one of the things I've been working on with this coach is like, how can I leverage? What can I let go of? And it's hard, you know? It's hard. But we're in this journey of life. It really is a journey, right?
It really is.
And so it's really about the process and the journey, and I'm definitely in the thick of it.
So, last question. Sure. And I think you kind of answered this all along, but if you have one piece of advice for a woman or really any younger person starting out who's looking at their career and saying, I don't know when I'm going to do all this stuff, and how am I going to get everything done? When should I have kids? What would you tell them?
I would say know yourself and trust in sort of life's process and journeys. There's something to be said about, you know, obviously knowing yourself and having courage and conviction to sort of like take on life and really live life to the fullest, but ultimately trusting that it's all going to work out.
Trusting that it'll work out and know yourself. I think that's terrific advice. And it has been an absolute pleasure to talk with you. Thank you.
It's lovely to meet you. Thank you.
And thank you. Check back soon for more from here at TEDWomen. Thank you.